When was the last time you looked in the mirror, really looked and asked yourself, am I truly living the life I want? Not the life your parents expected, not the one your peers would applaud, and certainly not the one carefully curated to earn digital validation, but the life that stirs deep in your soul. Carl Jung, one of the most profound thinkers in modern psychology, left us with a lesson that many admire, but few dare to live by: the necessity of choosing yourself, even when everything around you pushes in the opposite direction. Especially then, because choosing yourself is not an act of rebellion, it's an act of responsibility. It's where genuine fulfillment and inner peace begin. Now, pause for a moment. How many times have you silenced your own desires for the sake of practicality? How often traded authenticity for acceptance? How often have you postponed your dreams because they didn't fit the conventional mold? We forget that the most important dialogue we can ever have isn't with others. It's the one that takes place quietly, relentlessly, inside our own minds. And this is where Stoicism intersects beautifully with Jung's wisdom. Stoic philosophy is not about detachment from life, but alignment with it. Your life, your nature, your truth. It asks, are your actions aligned with your values? Are your choices echoing the voice within, merely reacting to the noise outside? Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. They all spoke of personal integrity and self-mastery. And that aligns powerfully with Jung's concept of individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming who you are, not what the world demands you to be. This isn't just philosophical reflection, it's a call to action. Every day, every moment presents a crossroads. Will you choose the version of you that's true, or the one that conforms? When you look in the mirror, are you seeing someone you respect? Someone whose actions, decisions, and boundaries reflect inner clarity? Choosing yourself means saying no when the world expects a yes. It might mean choosing a path that others don't understand, a career that inspires you but earns puzzled looks, or a lifestyle that values presence over possessions. It's not about selfishness. It's about self-respect. It's about making your life a declaration of your values rather than a reaction to someone else's script. And yes, it takes courage, but there is freedom on the other side. The more you choose yourself, the less permission you seek. The more you walk your path, the less validation you need. And in that space, something incredible happens. You begin to build a life that doesn't just function. It thrives, it breathes, it sings. So if you're here, reading this, searching for more, you're already on the path. Before we continue, a simple ask. If this message resonates, hit the subscribe button. It takes less than a second, but it helps us reach others who are on this same journey. You never know who might need to hear this today. Let's keep going. We live in a world that constantly tells us who we should be, what success looks like, what happiness should feel like. But beneath all those layers, there's a voice, your voice, quiet, persistent, and true. Carl Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This is not a romantic idea. It's a challenge, a confrontation, a daily battle between conformity and authenticity. Because the real danger isn't what society demands of you. It's how quickly you accept those demands without question. How often you surrender your compass for someone else's roadmap. The Stoics offer a path through this confusion. Not by escaping the world, but by meeting it with clarity, with courage, with boundaries. Seneca said, "If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. And that begins when you choose you." The truth is, the most important work you will ever do is not out there, it's within. In the previous chapter, we uncovered the bold challenge of choosing yourself, of living not according to what society expects, but according to who you truly are. Now, we dive deeper into a powerful continuation of that theme, learning to listen to and live from your inner voice. The tension between who you truly are and who you've been conditioned to become is one of the greatest conflicts you'll ever face, and it requires constant vigilance. We must ask ourselves regularly, is the life I'm living really mine? Or is it a carefully edited version shaped by expectations that aren't my own? Here's the truth. We may not control the external world, but we do have control over our reactions, our decisions, and ultimately, our destiny. That realization, it holds tremendous power. It's the key that unlocks the door to a more authentic life, one that may require stepping away from the crowd, but leads you closer to yourself. Every time we ignore that quiet inner voice, the one whispering truth in moments of silence, we pay a price. We may not feel it immediately, but slowly, our authenticity erodes. Like a house built on sand, it might look sturdy for a while, but under real pressure, it cracks. Carl Jung captured this perfectly when he spoke of the persona, the social mask we wear to fit into the world around us. He warned that identifying too closely with this mask risks the loss of our true identity. The more we suppress who we really are, the more we lose connection with our purpose, our relationships, and our sense of fulfillment. And it's not just a theoretical risk. Living out of alignment with your inner truth can lead to deep dissatisfaction, even existential distress. You begin to feel like a stranger in your own life, disconnected from your work, your passions, even your own emotions. From the Stoic lens, this struggle is nothing new. Epictetus taught that we are not disturbed by events themselves, but by our judgments of them. So when we choose to ignore our inner truth, we're not just making a passive decision. We're actively shaping our own narrative, often one that doesn't belong to us. Over time, these compromises compound. And the cost isn't just personal. When we're not true to ourselves, we can't be fully honest with others either. Our relationships suffer because they aren't rooted in authenticity. We wear so many masks that eventually we forget what it feels like to be seen. But here's the good news. When you reclaim your inner voice, when you begin to trust and act on your deepest values, you lay the groundwork for a more honest, meaningful life. You begin to live with integrity. And integrity is not just satisfying, it's unshakable. This isn't only about personal happiness. It's about building a life that's resilient to external pressures. One where your inner compass guides you more than the fleeting opinions or demands of others. Jung spoke of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming who you truly are. It's not a one-time realization, but a deep, sustained journey. It means peeling back the layers of conditioning and fear to reach something purer, something real. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes. This awakening, it begins with listening. Stoicism echoes this path inward. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." That retreat isn't for escape, it's for reflection, for recalibration, for returning to the virtues that define you. Wisdom, justice, courage, moderation. So what does it mean to listen to yourself? It's more than hearing your emotions or recognizing your desires. It's about understanding why you feel what you feel, why you're drawn to certain things, and how your actions align or don't with your core beliefs. To live stoically and truthfully, you must engage in this inner dialogue regularly. Ask yourself, am I pursuing this path because it's aligned with who I am? Or am I doing it to please others? Am I acting from principle or from fear? These questions aren't easy, but they're essential, because the difference between living on autopilot and living with intention lies in the quality of that inner dialogue. When you truly listen, your decisions become more deliberate, your direction more clear. Start small. Self-alignment doesn't require radical upheaval. In fact, the most lasting changes often begin with subtle, daily practices. Try this. 1. Reflect daily. The Stoics, especially Marcus Aurelius, journaled as a way to check in with themselves. Set aside a few minutes each day to reflect on your thoughts, actions, and emotions. Ask, was I true to myself today? Over time, this builds clarity and self-trust. 2. Practice mindfulness. You don't need to sit on a cushion for hours. Just be present. Whether it's during a conversation or a quiet walk, practice fully showing up. Without the noise of distraction, your inner voice becomes clearer. 3. Engage in honest self-inquiry. Ask tough questions. Does this align with my values? Am I reacting or choosing? This type of scrutiny can be uncomfortable, but growth lives in discomfort. 4. Set boundaries. As you get to know yourself better, protect what you learn. Set boundaries that reflect your values and respect your limits. Jung believed this self-respect was essential to living authentically. In a world that rewards conformity and punishes uniqueness, the act of tuning into yourself becomes revolutionary. But it's a revolution worth joining. Because when you live in integrity with who you are, you stop surviving and start thriving. Let this be the invitation to stop performing and start aligning. To stop editing yourself and start expressing yourself. This is what it means to live a life not just of success, but of significance. And it all starts by listening to the only voice that has always known the way. In our previous section, we explored the importance of listening to your inner voice and reclaiming a sense of alignment with your true self. Now we move from awareness to action. Because once you've heard your inner voice, the next step is perhaps the hardest and most courageous: choosing yourself. This simple phrase, choose yourself, holds more power than we often realize. It's not a selfish act. It's an act of integrity. It means honoring your needs, setting boundaries, pursuing what feels purposeful, and saying yes to a life that reflects your values. Carl Jung referred to this as the process of individuation, the lifelong path of becoming who you truly are. It involves recognizing your unique psychological makeup and integrating every part of yourself into a unified whole. Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." And that's because true acceptance requires facing not only your strengths, but also your shadows. From a Stoic perspective, this process isn't about indulging the ego, it's about self-mastery. The Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, believed that power lies not in controlling the world, but in governing our reactions to it. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." And what is that strength, really? It's the clarity to say no when something violates your values. It's the discipline to rest when you need to, and to work when it counts. It's the courage to walk away from what doesn't nourish your soul even if it once impressed others. Choosing yourself often means prioritizing mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. It's recognizing that burnout isn't noble, that constant self-sacrifice isn't sustainable, and that your peace of mind is not a luxury, it's a necessity. When you begin making decisions based on this foundation of self-respect, everything changes. You'll notice your relationships evolve. The opportunities you attract begin to align with who you really are. People can sense authenticity. They're drawn to it. And when you show up as your true self, it invites others to do the same. This ripple effect is one of the most beautiful byproducts of choosing yourself, because it doesn't end with you. When others see someone living boldly and unapologetically, it awakens something within them too. Jung believed that many of our inner conflicts and much of our unhappiness stem from the disconnect between who we are and who we pretend to be. When we bridge that gap, we ease the psychological stress and anxiety that come from living someone else's life. Imagine standing at the edge of a forest. There's a well-paved trail that most people take straight forward, crowded and predictable. But off to the side, there's a smaller, winding path. Overgrown, mysterious, less certain. And yet, something about it calls to you. That path? That's your own. It's the one less traveled, and it's a metaphor for choosing your truth over convenience, popularity, or safety. Jung described this as the myth of one's own life. A path that may not be easy, but is unquestionably yours. The Stoics would agree. They taught that real freedom comes from within, from living by virtue, and not by public opinion. Marcus Aurelius put it bluntly, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In other words, don't mirror the world's dysfunction. Define your own standard. Choosing the path less traveled often invites resistance. Not everyone will understand. Some may criticize. But if your decisions are rooted in clarity and virtue, you'll be able to withstand the noise. And this journey isn't just about finding success, it's about discovering significance. It's about becoming someone you respect, someone you trust, someone who can say, with quiet conviction, "This is who I am, and this is the life I choose." At times, this path will feel lonely, because few dare to walk it. But those who do find a rare kind of peace, a peace that comes not from achievement, but from alignment. So ask yourself, are you choosing yourself today? Are you honoring your truth in the face of pressure? Are you living that's yours or someone else's script? Let these questions stir you. Let them challenge you, and let them guide you. Because choosing yourself isn't just one decision. It's a daily practice, a radical act of courage, and the only way to build a life that feels like your own. Picking up from where we left off, standing firmly in your truth and choosing yourself, we now face the next profound step, embracing that truth fully, not just acknowledging it, but living it with conviction. Carl Jung put it powerfully. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, because to do so is to confront not only our light, but our shadows, to integrate all parts of ourselves into the life we live outwardly. Embracing your true self is more than self-awareness. It's about radical alignment. It means your thoughts, actions, values, and emotions begin to walk in step with one another. No more pretending. No more shrinking. No more living someone else's version of your life. From a Stoic perspective, this act of self-alignment echoes one of their deepest virtues, self-control. Not in the sense of rigid repression, but in the mastery of one's thoughts and behaviors. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And what lies within our control? Our responses, our interpretations, our decisions. In focusing on these, we don't become self-centered, we become self-actualized. This distinction matters, because true self-focus isn't about ego, it's about clarity. When you know who you are, you stop being tossed by every opinion, trend, or external demand. This internal strength empowers you to live with purpose. You no longer chase validation. You no longer fear rejection. You begin to make choices not from desperation, but from a well of grounded self-worth. And this shift is transformative. Because when you're no longer needy, you're generous. When you're no longer insecure, you're courageous. When you're no longer seeking approval, you're offering authenticity. Jung also reminded us that who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. When we awaken to our truest self, we stop sleepwalking through life. We become conscious creators of our path, not just passive participants. And this choice, this act of choosing and embracing your full self, isn't just personal. It sends ripples outward. Your authenticity gives others permission to be real. Your clarity offers others a mirror. Your example can become someone else's turning point. Choosing yourself, then, is not selfish. It's service. It's self-care, not self-indulgence. Because only by filling your own cup can you truly pour into the lives of others. Only by finding peace within can you bring peace to your relationships, your community, your work. This is the paradox of personal alignment. It feels personal, but it affects everyone around you, because people feel the difference. They respond differently to someone who is grounded, genuine, and whole. When you begin to live this way, you're no longer performing, you're participating. You're no longer reacting, you're responding. And the peace that arises from this integrity is unmistakable. It's steady, it's strong, it's contagious. So what does it look like, practically, to embrace your true self? It means making choices that honor your needs, even if they're misunderstood. It means setting boundaries without guilt. It means saying yes only when your soul agrees and no when your spirit resists. It means pausing before you please, questioning before you conform. And when you live like this consistently, when you choose yourself, align with yourself, and express yourself, life opens up. Not always easily, but authentically. And that makes all the difference. Thank you for joining me today, here at Stoic Journal. If this conversation sparked something within you, I invite you to go deeper. Check out one of the suggested videos on your screen. Let this be the beginning, not the end, of your journey into Stoic wisdom and personal transformation. You're not just learning philosophy, you're living it.